I'm Bob Wayland. I'm grateful that the State Corporation Commission has asserted jurisdiction with regard to Dominion's proposed towers. Though we've suggested to the company that it could meet its obligations and objectives without sullying the great natural wonder of the Commonwealth, they've been single-minded in their pursuit of the familiar, cheaper alternative. The Commission, guided by your recommendations and in consideration of public and staff analyses, will decide how best to balance short and long-term considerations of cultural, historic, and environmental effects with costs and reliability in providing electricity. My wife and I first visited the Northern Neck some 3 decades ago. We badly needed to find a quiet spot where we could gaze at the water and put the stresses of an especially difficult period of work aside for a few days. We were captivated during our stay at the Tides Inn and returned again and again. Each time crawling bumper to bumper down 95, transitioning to Route 17 where the traffic thinned out, and finally taking Route 3 those last few miles. The magnificent Rappahannock seemed to embrace us as we gained the Norris Bridge, and our tensions and cares fell away. Several years later, we bought a small parcel of land where we thought we might build a home for our retirement. In 2003, we built our current residence. While we don't see the bridge from our home, we enjoy boating, and the majestic sweep of the river from the bay to Cortona always brings a thrill as we leave Regent Point Marina. The Route 3 span, which shows its age as you cross it, looks powerful and grand in silhouette as one sails, kayaks, or fishes on the lower river. And on the bridge, you have an unobstructed view of the river for more than half the bridge's length, down to the bay and up to Urbana. John Smith named major features of these waters: Stingray Point and Anti-Poison Creek. The river has been the dominant cultural and historical influence on this region since the time of the Algonquians. The abundance of fish and shellfish led to thriving commercial seafood harvesting. Together with boat building and farming, this was the dominant commercial activity. And the dozens of steamboat landings with scheduled service from Baltimore and Norfolk moved goods and people along the river. Though disease and other factors greatly reduced commercial fishing after the war years, especially for oysters, improvements in water quality, aquaculture, and better fisheries management have brought about a renaissance in bivalve production and harvest. This rich history and culture has been recognized by the federal government through the designation of the John Smith Trail, and the Commonwealth, which is designated an oyster trail, a wine trail, and an artisan trail, including sites in our river community. Cultural and ecotourism are joining more traditional recreational opportunities, which thousands visit or move to this area to enjoy: sailing, powerboating, fishing, kayaking, and swimming in the waters of the Rappahannock and her tributaries. Others have talked about the dollars and cents and employment associated with the river. But in the words of Oscar Wilde, the cynic knows the cost of everything and the value of nothing. What is the view shed of the lower Rappahannock worth? I submit that Dominion hasn't a clue. Preservation Virginia has recognized the area of the proposed project as one of Virginia's most endangered historic places. I don't think our community or the Commonwealth could or should rely on Dominion to make the best decisions for this and future generations about whether or how to protect our scenic and cultural resources. Dominion treated this river and these communities as though there was nothing here to protect. They set out until they were brought up short on a path which would have allowed them to fast-track approval without any need for a careful consideration of less damaging alternatives. Fortunately, the State Corporation Commission put the matter right procedurally, and now will evaluate their project in light of alternatives which can minimize adverse impacts on scenic, cultural, and environmental resources. Regrettably, 2 of our other great rivers, the York and the Potomac, have considerable industrialization in their lower reaches. Crossing to Maryland on the southernmost crossing of the Potomac, the Governor Nice Bridge, one sees a huge coal-fired power plant adjacent to the span. I recently sailed up the bay to the York. Dominion's tall stack at their generating station could be seen from many miles away before entering the river, and it's a dominant feature as one looks south, crossing the bridge between Gloucester Point and Yorktown. There's no remaining river in Virginia other than the Rappahannock, with a predominantly rural appearance near its wide mouth. In my career at EPA, and even as a member of the State Water Control Board, I spent many hours just as you're doing today, in a conference room or an auditorium, listening to cities or parties argue law and policy. It's a necessary part of the process. But I hope, Mr. Skirpan, and you, the staff, and Judge Yockman, and the commissioners will find an opportunity over the next several weeks to quietly enjoy a plate of seafood at Miramar and Topping. Or that you can accompany a waterman pulling crab traps off Mosquito Point, or that you'll kayak out the mouth of Carter's Creek, or maybe sail with Premier Sailing School under the bridge and wonder if your mast will clear. Or aboard one of the day boats for fishing that leaves Lockley's Creek. These experiences, enjoyed by visitors and residents alike, are why we love this place. They're why introducing industrial steel towers across the river is so outrageous to us. We want future generations of residents and visitors, sailors, boaters, fishers, painters, and photographers to see what you will see if you can arrange a field trip just an hour and a half from Richmond. It's what we truly love, a broad and beautiful river with most of its shoreline fringed with trees, changing its face from dawn to dusk in wind and calm, bringing a tranquility and peace which are rare and precious commodities in these frantic and stressful times. Thank you for your attention and your service to the Commonwealth.
Any questions? Thank you for your testimony.